Good evening and welcome to Zwift number 57. This is the Makuri Maze stage 4, 2 laps around the 3 villages, 23.5 kilometres, 190 metres of incline. Here's a better understanding of the course. This section here is all uphill as we get up to the top point here before dropping down before the country sprint, and then another lap. Here we go, you can see the contours of the map. We've started in the top left hand corner, dropping down before turning around that loop, still on the flat before heading up various hills into the three villages, cross over the top before dropping down for a considerable distance. So here we are. We had 38 riders start. This is the category 270 to 390. I'm right on 350. We had 40 people start the race, quite a reasonable start. Got up with the front group. I think there was around about 35 or 30, even about 37 or 38 of us in the front group. But we're all heading downhill now, so quite a reasonable, nice start to the race, and just being able to ease yourself into the race nice and gently. Plenty of people commenting during the race. We had FRRRC commenting. He was also commentating with Parky, or putting lots of comments in with Parky about various different injuries regarding gallstones and knee injuries and things like that. So it's quite interesting. Obviously, quite a relaxed pace for them to be able to message whilst racing. So we're still heading downhill. We're still getting to a point where you can see the start finish in a minute, which is at the end of this country sprint, which you can see we are part of now. It still continues to be quite flat and downhill. There's no inclines in these early stages, so I was able to ease off, and you can see my average watts there, 184, which is really, really low. I did have a plan before we started the race, but having to take into consideration that some of the riders have got ZRSs up and around 390, then that was going to be a challenge. So I did have a plan that on the second loop, in a similar position to where we are now, I would try and put a burst in and try and get a bit of a gap before heading up the hills, because hill climbing's not the thing for me. So I wondered whether that would be something that I could put into place, but just ultimately just stayed in and around the back of the group. Here you can see that I'm 36th, and the rider behind me is around 30 seconds behind. So just cruising, really, just trying to take the benefit of the draft before we head up the hill. Just wanted to increase my position here, so I put a bit of a spurt in here as we started the Castle KOM. If I'm right at the back and people are pushing ahead, I'm going to be further distance, so just wanting to be up and around. So got up out the saddle a few times whilst riding up these hills, just wanting to make sure that I wasn't going to get distance. Feel a little bit more confident doing these hills now than I have done in the past. We're coming into the village in a minute, and there's a few S-bends and U-turns that we have to negotiate, and a little bit of an incline that you can see in the mini map in front of us. So just wanted to make sure that I don't get distance. You can see that some of the front riders are out in front, so you never know what's going to happen at this point, whether they're going to push ahead and form a breakaway group, you don't know. But currently positioned in around 10th position, so feeling happy again, putting a burst there to get up over 450 watts and just making sure that I'm with them. We now start to drop down a little tiny bit before we head uphill again. But yeah, feeling okay at this point. Average watts, because of the incline there, have increased up to above 220, so working a little bit harder now. Still some inclines here that you can see. The mini map is slightly deceiving because, as you can see, it's completely altered there because we didn't take the left hand turn, which would have taken those inclines into consideration, but slight incline here before another left-hand turn, and this is where we get our inclines to the top. So there you can see various different inclines, probably getting up to around about 5-6%. So just able to get up out of the saddle and just power up slightly to keep myself in contention with the front riders. But I'm hanging on a little bit here, but feeling okay. Dropped down a few gears so that I could increase my cadence a little bit, but you can see we're all strung out now. But I'm getting close to the top here with one last orange section to negotiate before the easier yellow section, which will take us then back on to a flatter section before we drop downhill for a good 4 or 5, I'm not sure exactly how far it is, but a good 5 kilometers of descents at a slight percentage decrease. So yeah, I've got to the top, made sure I powered up. I'm slightly distanced here, there's a few gaps, but so I'm a little bit concerned that I might get distance. You can see there must be a group of about 20 people out in front, but you can see in the mini map how we're all strung out. But we're basically at the top here. You can see on the mini map on the right hand corner that we're probably at the highest point here, but so just making sure that I can just stay with the rest of the riders, but end up getting distance a little bit and just end up forming a group of around about 8 riders from about 20th position back to obviously 28th position, but a big group of riders out in front. So this is potentially how it's going to pan out as we go forward. So you can see the gap between us and the group ahead of us is around 6-7 seconds, and they are a group of around about 17-18 different riders, so we're just hopefully trying to chase them down. But you can see that the gap is staying consistent around 7 seconds at the moment. It's just dropped down to 6. We've got the front of our group, Veloso is pushing the pace to try and catch up with the riders in front, and we've actually got it down quite quickly, and it looks like we're going to catch on to that group. So that's really good that we've been able to catch hold of that front group. So there's around about 25 riders now in that front group, or maybe close to 30 riders. So I've eased off again. You can see that my average watts will drop down here as we continue to drop downhill towards the start finish. We've still got just over a lap to go, but yeah, really pleased that we've been able to catch hold of them, but just trying to now make sure that I can decrease my heart rate slightly so that I'm more relaxed for the inclines to come. We've still got 13.6 kilometers to go. My average watts is 238, which is reasonably good. I've been riding quite well recently, so 238 is okay, but I'd be looking to increase that going forward for the rest of the race. But heart rate at 142, that's good. So hopefully as we continue to drop down and come into one of the villages now, hopefully that heart rate will drop even further. You can see it's into the 130s now. So 12.5 kilometers to go, and just wanted to stay with this group. As I said before on the first lap, this was where I was hoping that I would put in a bit of a burst and try and distance myself, but that just wasn't going to materialise. I was just trying to conserve my energy here and just trying to get my heart rate back down, and being very conscious that I still had a lap to go and that I was starting to feel a little bit fatigued. So just pushed out to the front, not intentionally for any reason, but just pushed out in the front there for a few seconds. Noticed that there was a few riders that I've seen before in the past. I'm sure I've seen S. Davidson racing in a race with me, and then Tanya was in a race that I rode a couple of nights ago. I think she placed third on that occasion. I might be wrong with that, but I'm sure she was well placed, and she was, quite prominent in this race as well. I'm not sure about El Clasico. I think that name rings a bell. Obviously, with me being into the football, El Clasico has a different meaning, and I'm sure that you'll all be aware of that. But El Clasico was in here as well. We've got FRRC still commenting about injuries and communicating with Parky as well. So we're going to head up the hill quite soon. We're just on the flat just after the finish line, so we've got around 7/8 of the lap to go, under 10 kilometers to go. So let's see how this goes from here. So here we go. I'm out the front because I'm thinking if I can get a little bit of a gap whilst we do these hills, then that would be beneficial. But I wasn't putting any real massive effort to try and get out in front, but just wanted to cover the rest of the riders. So yeah, just positioned about 15th position here. Somebody's gone off the front at this point. I'm not sure who that is, but you can see that on the orange Tron bike in orange. Let's see, LaCoy, that was, who's went out the front. Let's see how he manages on the rest of the hill going up. But feeling really good here. You can see I'm out the front. Wanting to make sure that I'm not hanging on and hanging on. It's just trying to push the pace a little bit so that I'm, being proactive rather than reactive. So, but the difficulty is it's just taking it out of me greatly. But you can see on the mini map there, although I'm positioned mid-20s, a couple are getting dropped off the back. There's a few riders who are hopefully going to tag on to the draft as we reach the last section of inclines, but you can see that I'm slightly getting gapped from the riders in front. There's 3 or 4 riders around me, including James McCullum and S. Davidson, who I mentioned before. But I'm just concerned that if I don't do anything about it, I'm going to get distance here, and you can see that actually they're getting further away. I am putting a little bit of effort in, getting my watts up over 300, so nowhere near a sprint or anything like that, and not really digging in greatly, but just trying to make sure that I can get over these last few sections of inclines before hopefully being able to recover and pick off a few riders as we head back downhill towards the end. So you can see now we're completely strung out. There's a couple of riders about a second ahead of me, and then gaps to R. Dyer and Veloce again, 4 or 5 seconds ahead, and then a few riders 7 or 8 seconds ahead, but completely strung out. You can see the leaders there. They're probably about 25, 30 seconds ahead now, but even though that group, you can see they're completely strung out as they've reached the highest point, and they are now going to head back downhill towards the end of the race. But I've got these 4 riders around me. I'm making sure that I put a little bit of spurt in here just to make sure I can keep hold of them and keep drafting. So you can see, look, they're knocking it up over 400 watts just to catch hold of Le Boot. But then there's a couple of riders ahead, Valentine and Davidson there. I just want to get hold of their tails, but I can also see that Snow Art is just ahead of them as well. So now that it looks like we are able to settle in, I'm happy that I'm in their draft with these 4 other riders. So just really going to compete with them. About 10 positions ahead of me. You can see that Lalandes is 20 seconds ahead. I'm not sure if that's the front group or not, but yeah, just conscious of that really. So I'm in my group of 5. You can see there's another group of riders, say 4 or 5 riders there, including McCullum, Reed, also Hagen, and Dyer. They're all there, and so we're all working quite hard. I'm taking the draft of LeBoot just in front of me, and it looks like it's going to come together here because Valentine now is pushing it forward, and we're just 2 seconds behind them. So we're going to have a group of around about 10 riders here as we enter the last 4 kilometres. So I'm currently in 30th position, so potentially looking at a top 20 position, which isn't bad considering that some riders have got Zwift racing scores of 390. I think that was James McCullum who commented on the fact that I've been able to bridge the gap. So yeah, that was quite pleasing. So we've just got 3.6 kilometres to go now. I commented also that I'm absolutely goosed at this point, but pleased that hopefully I can just try and catch hold of the rest of this group now. I'm easing off. You can see my watts are down to around about 140. With 3 kilometres to go, I'm starting to think about that plan as to if I can try and break away from the rest of the group. So I'm pedalling quite firmly here, and find myself in a reasonably good position, but just thinking consciously about how best I can make this breakaway work. So try and ease off shortly, because here we go, down to about 100 watts, easing off completely before putting in a burst in an attempt to try and create a breakaway from the rest of the group. So I think it happens any second now, just before we come into the village. Here we go, so big burst in, up over 670 watts, looking really good at the moment. You can see that on the mini map in the right hand corner that I have distanced myself, but just as quickly as I say that, the rest of the group are able to catch hold of me. I've completely peaked by this point. My legs have got no energy in them at all. The whole of the rest of the group go past me. Hagen's the only one who's quite close to me, but all the other riders, those 10 riders, LeBeau and Davison and Reed and McCullum, they're all shot off into the distance really. They've already created a gap of 2 seconds. So we are coming close to the finish line, and I will slow the pace of the race so that I can watch the rest of the riders in front of sprint towards the finish line. So here we go. Initially watched LeBeau, but then caught hold of McCullum, not through any reason, but you can see a real good strong pace around the left hand side there, and he was able to finish that chase group in first in the front. So there's me in 29th position. But if I was to go through the first 12 positions, here we go here. We've got Glenn King in first position, 35 and 44, followed by Bjorn T, just under a second behind. Then we had G Cycling, Glad Cycling, who was two seconds behind the winner. Then Fabio Manzi in 4th, SV in 5th. Then we had Kilian Van Wicken in 6th position, still only 2 seconds behind the leaders. 7th place, mentioned him earlier, El Clasico. 8th position, Mike Spee. 9th position, Josh B. Then 10th, Jake Graham. 11th, we had D. Butteris. And in 12th, we had Steve Hall, and he was only 3.45 seconds behind the leaders. So an impressive ride by them all, really. I was around about a minute and 10 seconds behind the winner, so not too bad. You know, there's lots of riders who have got higher Zwift racing scores than me, so just have to live with that. I think I was 2.6 watts average. It was quite a tactical race, so I wasn't going flat out. So my watts per kilogram were quite low, but yeah, it was an enjoyable ride. Pleased that I was able to compete. Catch you all again soon. Ta-ra, please subscribe.